After defeating the frost giant, the party pushes onward, without stopping. Before long, smoke rises on the horizon. As they draw closer, their fears are realized. They have arrived too late. Another village has already fallen to Warmachine. Passing through the shattered gates, they walk into a place that only hours ago was filled with life. Now, burning timbers, collapsed homes, and drifting ash are all that remain. The heroes stop for a moment, taking in the devastation around them. Entire families are gone. Streets they hoped to protect have been reduced to ruins. The destruction hardens their resolve, but reminds them of the terrible price of every minute lost. Among the survivors, they find an elderly woman searching through the wreckage. Fighting back tears, she points toward the road leading out of town. It went that way, toward the next village. Please, please hurry. There is nothing more they can do here. Carrying the weight of another town they could not save, the party leaves the ruins behind and sets off once more. Somewhere ahead, Warmachine continues its relentless march, and they intend to catch it before another village shares the same fate. Now the race is no longer about stopping a monster. It's about reaching the next village, before the dragon does. Leaving the ruined village behind, the heroes climb back onto their sleds. As the sun sinks toward the horizon, their loyal dogs race across the frozen wilderness. Somewhere ahead, Warmachine continues its relentless march. The silence is finally broken. Savin, will we make it to the next village in time? Gideon, Warmachine moves fast, are we faster? Bonbon, if the next village falls, how many will be left? Osborne, can we truly stop this? Murdoch, our path is clear, our time is not. The party reaches another village. Though damaged, it still stands. Frightened townsfolk line the streets, watching as the adventurers ride past without slowing. Every instinct tells them to stay and help, but they know another town is already in danger. As they leave the village behind, Bonbon, Gideon, and Murdoch bow their heads in silent prayer. Their prayers are not for victory. They are not for glory. They are prayers for forgiveness, for every innocent soul they cannot stop to protect. The road ahead grows darker with every mile. Somewhere beyond the next ridge, Warmachine continues its path of destruction, and the heroes know they may have only one chance to stop it. Determined not to arrive too late again, Savin sends his owl ahead with a hastily written warning tied to its leg. If they cannot outrun Warmachine, perhaps their message can. The owl reaches the next settlement and delivers the warning to a town guard. One glance at the message is all he needs. The guard rings the village bell with all his strength. Get to safety. The warning echoes through every street. Families rush from their homes, carrying children and whatever belongings they can manage. Thanks to the warning, the village begins to empty before Warmachine can arrive. While the civilians flee, Gideon and Bonbon organize the remaining militia. Those willing to stand and fight take up shields and spears, buying precious time for everyone else to escape. Murdoch kneels beside the exhausted sled dogs, calling upon divine magic to restore their strength. The faithful animals have carried the party across Icewind Dale without rest, and the chase is far from over. Suddenly, Osborne looks toward the horizon. A dark shape cuts through the smoke-filled sky. Here it comes. The ground trembles as the terrible machine draws near. For the first time since the chase began, the heroes have reached a village before Warmachine. The people have escaped, but now there is nowhere left to run. The battle for the fate of 10 towns is about to begin. Then the mountains begin to tremble. A metallic scream tears through the frozen sky as Warmachine descends from the storm clouds. Every beat of its massive wings echoes like grinding steel, shaking the streets below. Its body is unlike any dragon ever seen. Forged from cursed metal and ancient Netherese craftsmanship, every movement is accompanied by the deafening groan of gears, chains, and iron plates locking into place. The people run in terror as the mechanical beast sweeps low over the village. Children cry out. Families scatter through the snow. The warning came just in time, but not everyone has escaped. For weeks, Warmachine has marched across Icewind Dale, leaving only shattered homes and burning ruins in its wake. Now, the dragon has found its next target. And, for the first time, the heroes are here to meet it. The battle for 10 towns begins now. Warmachine slams into the village with devastating force. Homes splinter beneath its immense weight as the mechanical dragon tears through the streets, leaving fire, rubble, and chaos in its wake. While the dragon rampages through the village, Osborne quickly unrolls the blueprints recovered from the Duergar fortress. The party searches for anything that might give them a fighting chance against the monstrous construct. Then, Osborne finds it. Pointing toward the dragon's damaged wing assembly, he identifies a weakened joint where earlier battles have already taken their toll. If they can disable that mechanism, they might bring Warmachine crashing to the ground. There is no more time for planning. With Gideon leading the charge behind his shield and Bonbon racing beside him, the heroes launch their attack. Without breaking stride, Gideon and Bonbon race up the collapsed rooftops, using the shattered buildings as a path to reach the towering dragon. Every step brings them closer to the weakened wing Osborne identified. Launching themselves into the air, both paladins strike at Warmachine's damaged wing assembly. Their blades crash against ancient metal, sending showers of sparks across the snowy rooftops as they begin tearing into the dragon's greatest weakness. From below, Murdoch steadies his heavy crossbow. Waiting for the perfect opening, he fires a massive bolt straight toward the dragon's head, forcing the construct's attention away from the paladins clinging to its wings. Seeing the opening, Osborne unleashes a torrent of arcane fire. The blazing spell slams into Warmachine's face, flames washing across its iron scales and briefly blinding the monstrous construct. From the shadows of the ruined streets, Savin makes his move. With a flick of his wrist, magically infused daggers streak through the air, striking exposed seams in the dragon's armor. Every hit is carefully placed, exploiting weaknesses too small for anyone else to target. Steel clashes against iron. Fire scorches enchanted metal. Bolts, blades, and magic rain upon the construct from every direction. For the first time since Warmachine awoke, the dragon is forced onto the defensive. The party's assault has its intended effect. Warmachine staggers as its damaged wings absorb blow after blow. For a brief moment, the impossible seems possible. Then the construct slowly turns its burning gaze toward the heroes. The battlefield falls silent as every one of them realizes the dragon has chosen its next target. Blue energy begins to surge through Warmachine's metal frame. Ancient runes blaze to life beneath its armored scales as freezing arcane power gathers inside its jaws. The dragon is preparing to unleash its full fury. A devastating blast of frozen energy erupts across the battlefield. The heroes dive for cover as the beam tears past them, carving through the village with overwhelming force. Homes that had stood for generations are obliterated in an instant. Timber explodes into splinters, stone walls collapse, and debris is hurled through the air like leaves in a storm. Even while fighting the dragon, the party is forced to watch another piece of 10 towns disappear before their eyes. Warmachine has made its message clear. This is no ordinary dragon. Every second it remains standing, another home, another family, another village hangs in the balance. Furious from the party's relentless assault, Warmachine lashes out. Its massive tail crashes through nearby buildings, reducing homes to splintered rubble as the heroes scramble to avoid the destruction. With a thunderous beat of its battered wings, the mechanical dragon tears itself into the sky. The force of the takeoff sends debris flying through the streets, toppling already weakened buildings and leaving even more devastation in its wake. Hovering above the ruined village, Warmachine pauses. Its glowing eyes lock onto the heroes below. For a brief moment, predator and prey simply stare at one another. Then the dragon unleashes another devastating blast of freezing energy. The heroes dive aside as the beam tears across the battlefield, shattering stone, freezing timber, and sending broken debris hurtling through the air. Satisfied with the destruction it has left behind, Warmachine rises into the storm. As Warmachine climbs into the storm, Bonbon draws his enchanted pistol one last time. A holy round streaks through the darkening sky, chasing the retreating dragon. Without hesitation, he follows with a lightning-infused javelin. Thunder crackles through the clouds as the glowing weapon races toward the dragon's damaged wing. Beside him, Gideon hurls 2 javelins with all his strength. Guided by Osborne's discovery, both weapons are aimed at the weakened wing assembly, hoping to inflict one final wound before the dragon escapes. Murdoch shoulders his heavy crossbow and waits for the perfect moment. His bolt cuts through the wind, joining the barrage already climbing into the storm. Osborne raises his hand, sending a volley of magic missiles streaking across the sky. The arcane projectiles unerringly pursue their target, striking the construct even as it continues to climb. From the rear of the formation, Savin draws both hand crossbows. Bolt after bolt flies toward the fleeing dragon, refusing to give Warmachine a single moment of peace. Despite the relentless barrage, Warmachine climbs ever higher. Within moments, it's almost out of sight into the storm clouds, wounded but not defeated. As Warmachine rises into the storm, the heroes watch in frustration. If the dragon reaches the next village, countless more lives will be lost. Savin. Damn, it's going to make it to the next town now. Osborne's mind races. Savin, can you cast Circle Cast? The wizard has one last plan. Without hesitation, Savin reaches for his spellbook. His eyes scan the ancient runes before locking onto the spell they need. Yes, golden arcane energy surges from Savin's blade, weaving itself into an intricate circle of magic around the 2 paladins. The spell binds their strength together, focusing every ounce of their power into a single attack. Paladins, it's up to you. Bonbon and Gideon raise their shields as the circle of magic expands around them. The radiant energy converges into one brilliant beam, racing across the sky toward the fleeing dragon. The golden lance cuts through the storm, chasing Warmachine across the darkened heavens. For one brief moment, the fate of Icewind Dale hangs on a single shot. Would the spell strike true? Or would Warmachine vanish into the storm to destroy another village? The answer was only moments away. His circle of magic reaches its mark. The combined strength of Savin's spell and the unwavering resolve of the 2 paladins strikes Warmachine with overwhelming force. The wounded mechanism within its wing finally gives way. For a heartbeat, the ancient construct hangs motionless in the sky. Then, the impossible happens. A thunderous explosion rips through the dragon's cursed metal frame. Ancient enchantments fail, gears shatter, and centuries of forbidden craftsmanship tear themselves apart in a storm of fire and steel. The monster that had terrorized Icewind Dale is no more. Across the frozen wilderness, burning fragments rain from the heavens like falling stars. After villages lost, after countless lives threatened, after a relentless chase across the endless winter, Warmachine has finally fallen. As the last fragments of Warmachine burn across the evening sky, a silence settles over Icewind Dale. The ancient construct is gone. Its march of destruction has finally come to an end. Exhausted, bruised, but still standing, the heroes watch as the wreckage falls beyond the mountains. Together, they had accomplished what few believed possible. They had stopped the dragon. They had saved the people of 10 towns. And they had ensured that no more villages would fall beneath Warmachine's shadow. This victory belonged to every member of the party. Warmachine was destroyed. Its reign of terror had finally come to an end. But victory could not erase the scars it left behind. Across 10 towns, smoke still rose into the frozen sky. Homes had been reduced to ash. Families had lost everything. Entire communities would spend years rebuilding what had been destroyed in only a matter of hours. The heroes stood in silence, looking over the towns they had fought so desperately to protect. They had saved countless lives, but they had also learned a painful truth. Sometimes, even when heroes win, the cost of victory is measured by what could not be saved. Yet because they never stopped fighting, because they chose to stand against impossible odds, the people of Icewind Dale would have a future. A future worth rebuilding. Despite time slipping away, the group spends precious hours helping rebuild the town they saved. Bon Bon rebuilds homes and restores hope. Gideon feeds the hungry and protects those in need. Murdoch heals the wounded with divine light. Osborne rebuilds what was lost with wisdom and magic. Savin keeps watch, preventing looters and opportunists from preying on those in need. After days of hard work and restocking their supplies, the crew is ready to continue the hunt. The crew leaves town in search of a vessel capable of crossing the sea of moving ice. Will the town be okay without us?
Murdoch asks.
Gideon replies, they need us to finish our mission more. The group rides on in grim silence. After several hours of travel, the group finds a place to camp for the night. As night falls, the group makes camp. Savin repairs and sews new winter cloaks for the journey ahead. High above, an owl spots a lone figure approaching the camp. As the cold mountain winds howl through the night, the party settles into camp after another long day of travel. Bon Bon secures the tents while Murdoch tends a fire. Gideon quietly eats beside the campfire, Osborne prepares for the night, and Savin spends the evening sewing warm cloaks for the dangerous journey that still lies ahead. For a brief moment, the wilderness is peaceful. But peace never seems to last in Icewind Dale. Savin suddenly pauses, his eyes locking onto something in the distance.
He doesn't speak.
Instead, he calmly pulls his bandana over his face, slipping back into the cautious hunter his companions have come to trust. Without taking his eyes off the horizon, he raises his hand and points into the blizzard. Guys, incoming from the east. In an instant, the camp transforms from a place of rest into a defensive position. Weapons are drawn, shields are raised, and every member of the party prepares for whatever is approaching through the snow. Far beyond the campfire, barely visible through the swirling storm, an enormous figure slowly emerges from the frozen wasteland. The figure emerging from the storm is finally revealed. An enormous ice troll lumbers across the frozen tundra, its body covered in jagged ice and thick frost. These creatures are infamous across Icewind Dale. Wounds close almost as quickly as they are inflicted, and unless burned with fire, they simply refuse to die. Osborne immediately recognizes the threat. An ice troll. We need fire. Without hesitation, Bon Bon and Gideon mount their horses and charge straight toward the monster. Bon Bon's blade ignites with radiant flames as the two paladins thunder across the snow, determined to meet the beast head-on. From the flank, Savin calmly draws his hand crossbow and fires a precise shot. The bolt slams into the troll's shoulder, slowing its advance just long enough for the others to close the distance. Osborne follows with a blazing fireball that erupts against the creature's chest. Flames engulf the troll as it lets out a deafening roar, its supernatural regeneration finally held at bay. Behind the charging paladins, Murdoch steadies his heavy crossbow and squeezes the trigger. Another bolt tears into the monster, adding to the relentless assault as the party surrounds their frozen foe. With the trolls staggered by arrows, bolts, and flames, the paladins make their move. Bon Bon charges past the beast on horseback, his sword blazing with holy fire. As he rides by, the flaming blade carves a burning arc across the troll's body, leaving a trail of scorched flesh that cannot regenerate. A heartbeat later, Gideon drives straight in. Lowering his lance-like thrust, he channels divine power through his sword and plunges it deep into the monster's chest. Radiant energy erupts from the wound as the troll roars in agony. The two paladins wheel their mounts around and strike together. Fire and holy light crash into the ice troll at the same instant. Unable to recover from the relentless assault, the creature finally collapses into the snow with a thunderous crash. For a moment, the frozen wilderness falls silent. After confirming the troll is truly dead, the party searches the body and gathers anything of value before continuing their journey across the unforgiving tundra. Another threat has been removed from Icewind Dale, but many more still await. With the ice troll defeated, the party reloads their sleds and continues their journey across the frozen wilderness. The dogs eagerly pull the heavy loads forward as fresh snow begins to blanket the trail behind them. Before long, the conversation turns back to the battle they had just survived. Bonbon breaks the silence first. That troll is the worst thing I've ever smelled. Gideon laughs. It stunk like rotten fish and sewer mud combined. Osborne sighs as he brushes snow from his robes. Even my magic couldn't get that stench out of my clothes. From the back of the sled, Savin simply mutters, I can still taste it. The entire group bursts into laughter, grateful for a moment of humor after so many dangerous encounters. Hour after hour, the sleds press deeper into the frozen north. Civilization fades behind them, replaced by endless snowfields, jagged mountains, and the bitter winds of Icewind Dale. As the landscape grows harsher, one question begins to weigh on everyone's mind. Are we sure this is the right way? Then, through the blowing snow, something massive appears on the horizon. A towering fortress rises from the edge of the frozen sea, its walls carved into the cliffs overlooking the sea of moving ice. Whatever secrets lie ahead, it is clear that this prison was built to keep something or someone from ever escaping. The party finally arrives at the towering walls of Blackspire Penitentiary, an enormous prison built into the frozen edge of the sea of moving ice. Massive stone walls, iron gates, and armed guards leave little doubt. This place was built to hold the most dangerous prisoners in Icewind Dale. As they approach the entrance, the guards stop the adventurers with a simple request. Welcome to Blackspire Penitentiary. All weapons must be stowed before entry. Without hesitation, the party complies. They secure their swords, crossbows, staves, and daggers, understanding the rules of the prison. Escorted through the cold stone corridors, they make their way toward the warden's office. The halls are silent except for the echo of footsteps, flickering torchlight, and the occasional rattle of iron bars. Just as they pass one of the final cells, a quiet voice breaks the silence.
Oi.
Sticky. Savin freezes mid-step. Only one person had ever called him by that old nickname. Slowly, he turns toward the dark prison cell, wondering who could possibly know him here.